So in this video, I'm trying to show you exactly what the YouTube algorithm is after. There is one key metric that YouTube actually favors. And this is the metric that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet. So I feel like this is some very vital information you should write down and pay attention to. The only metric that truly matters when it comes to YouTube and growing your channel is your relevance score. Now, I haven't seen any other YouTube talk about this, but that is something that I've seen research on and documented on many of the channels that I've grown. And once I started tracking my relevance score, I realized that my channels are beginning to explode. This is a secret metric that a lot of YouTubers don't talk about because it's something that they already inherently do, but it's not something that they actively manage or track. Meaning it's a byproduct of their success, which they don't know how to utilize. So what is your relevance score? So, for example, if you were going to open your phone right now and go on the YouTube homepage, whatever you see on the homepage is going to be content that is most relevant to you as a viewer. Whatever you are into, whatever types of videos based on what you've watched in the past. What you're most likely to watch next. And based on what content is likely to keep you on the platform for the longest is going to be what's on the homepage. Now, there are tons of different factors, but the one factor, which is mainly based on, is the relevance to you. You want to make sure that the content you are making is extremely relevant to your ideal viewer. Even if your video quality is bad, if the video topic is extremely relevant to the viewer, it will be recommended to said viewers. So how do you know what content is relevant? This comes back to, once again, knowing your niche. In the beginning of this course, I outlined some key steps that will help you grow your channel. One of these things was making sure that you know your niche and you're somewhat into your niche. If you're into your niche, you're going to know exactly what content is extremely relevant to your viewers. You see, it's based on exactly what viewers want to watch. You have to understand that the YouTube algorithm is not based on subscribers anymore. The videos you put out there will be based and sent to those people on YouTube that are not subscribed to the channel. This is good, because it means you can explode your channel quickly if you understand how to use this technique effectively. So how do you produce content that is highly relevant and highly clickable? It's all down to the topic. One thing you need to understand is that your title matters hugely. It matters so much. You need to understand that when you're writing a title and you're writing your tags and descriptions, that those things actually influence how often your video will get recommended if your title doesn't accurately describe it or isn't relatively relevant to the topic that you're making a video on. Your video won't get recommended as much. You see, the topic of your video matters much more than the content of your video. You need to understand that the topic and relevancy of the content you're making is extremely important into your video's success. Now, sometimes you might hit and miss, but if your content is not relevant, it will not work. So there are two main methods that I use in order to check my relevance score. Now, there are so many different ways you can do this, because in every niche, it's going to be extremely different. Earlier in the course, I talked about how in different sessions of different niches, different things become increasingly relevant. For example, during Christmas time, if you're a baking channel, maybe you're going to be looking at Christmas cakes. For example, if you're a gym channel or channel focused on fitness, when the new year comes up, you're going to be focused on New Year's workouts. So for every different channel, the relevant content is going to be based on different factors, such as the time of year and the season of content that you're in. This is one of the key elements to understanding what is going to be relevant to your viewers. The next element is simply by knowing your viewer. If you are passionate about a subject, or you're deep into any subject or category on YouTube, you're intrinsically going to know which categories are more relevant to the viewer than others. This is simply because you already know exactly what's relevant to your viewers and your niche. Because I'm passionate about YouTube and building channels, I know that building a cash cow channel without your voice and without editing the videos is one of the most relevant videos that I can continue to produce on my YouTube channel, thus helping me to grow. If I wasn't that much into YouTube, then I wouldn't know this, and I wouldn't have that knowledgeable information. Therefore, you need to make sure that you're doing tons of research to be able to produce the relevant content. So the second thing that determines whether or not a video is relevant is going to be based on recent news. Similar to trending videos, a video can accrue relevancy if there is new news behind it. For example, when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. If you were a news channel, for example, CNBC or an American news channel, producing content around the COVID-19 pandemic would have been extremely relevant because in today's society, we are still in a pandemic. So if there is new news about content and you create content about that new fresh news, then your content is going to be extremely relevant to the viewers searching for that news. Another way to make sure that your content is extremely relevant is by using the vidIQ tool in the vidIQ tool. If you type in a YouTube keyword, it comes up with a relevant score. This is basically the relevant score that I talked about, and it's a measure of how closely the keyword is related to the current keyword you search for. You want to pick the top 10 related keywords and put them in tags for any video that you have. So if I was making a video about Tesla's new product, or I was making a video about why Tesla's batteries are really good, I would type those keywords in, and then whatever the related score was, whichever ones had the highest related score, I would then put those tags in, and I would put those in the tag section of my video. You want to make sure that your video is related to your potential viewer as much as possible. If the video is not related to them, and it won't get recommended, and it won't get seen. And if your video is, you have to leave it up to the algorithm to be able to find that viewer.